Oh, hey folks, how you doing? It is Paul with you. I am in a metrical state, and folks, you wouldn't want to wish my lifestyle on anyone, even your worst enemy. How you doing? I am going to tell you my current status. I was not able to sleep last night, so I've got to go to sleep for 2 hours. And I called my my security guard friend there, and I told him, if I'm not up by 1 o'clock, call me, please. So I'll have to get on with this video and make it short and sweet. Now, as you know, I've been having trouble with my son. The first thing we have to do is we have to pop my subscriber out of the way. He's easy to pop out of the way. The guy who calls me Pablo. Dude, my son has been a shithead to me my whole life. When he got to be 15 years old, I asked him if he wanted, or 16, I asked him if he wanted to do the news with me. Now, that was during the COVID-19. So he said that he believed me, but whenever women tell him that it's real, he believes it. He's like a shithead. I'm sorry, but that's the way it works. So I think he knows that I'm crazy and that, it's pretty much over with that. So the first thing I have to do is I have to slap Rudy out of the way. Just slap him out of the way, because I know he's going to be the main hindrance here to this story. Now, I told him about the Peaky Blinders, and he very, very intellectually told me that you can't expect a young man in the Philippines to understand the gang wars of the 20s in Ireland and in England. And I'm with you. I understand. However, this just swats you out of the way like a fly. I sent my son at great cost because, you see, I got all excited and I said, this is what my son wants. Fortunately, my son doesn't want anything to do with me. Anything. So what I did was I sent about a $55, you can't send anything like a cell phone because that has a battery and they'll reject it. But I got him some nice apes, some 13 or 14 speed apes, golf discs, and I sent it to him. And he got them. And he went to one of the few places in the Philippines that doesn't have rice growing on it. And he was able to throw some discs. Now, albeit in the Fu Manchu kind of weird, kind of monkish kind of dress, because he was with his girlfriend who was soon to leave him. Actually, it wasn't soon. It was probably about a year and a half before he left him. And then, what happened? Well, it was so much. Hey, can you take this? Thank you, man. And then it was so much that I had to make sure that he was able to cut the yard of these places that were allowing him to throw the disc. So I brought him not one, but 2 weed eaters. As I tried to get him to use the weed eaters, he just said, yeah, which is the usual. So what happened? My son didn't use the weed eater, had no intention of using the weed eater, but went ahead and made it look like he had any interest, feigning interest in any of the golf disc matters. And in case you didn't know, it was extremely difficult to find any place to throw discs, golf discs. Because the Philippines, if there's a patch of land and it's not being used, they grow rice on it, or they grow eggplant, or anything else. My son let me buy the weed eaters and had absolutely no intention of using them to cut the grass, because after all, I'm crazy. You don't want to throw golf discs. That's crazy. Now, we just take Rudy and just flick him off. You understand? Because Rudy was on my son's side up until this, when I just flick Rudy off. That's how my son is. He'll tell you anything you want to know and then just go on with his life. So I should have known by that, but I thought he would like to throw golf discs. He did not. There was some minor interest in ultimate frisbee, which is a sport for the soccerly inclined. And he thought about it a little bit, about a half a night's worth of thought, and said, nah, which I don't blame him, because it's fucking soccer with a golf disc. I didn't like it. I played it once. I cheated. I was able to get it to spin on my fingernail, and I ran in for the goal. And they were very, very upset by that. So that was back in 1980. I had enough of fucking frisbee golf. All right? Ultimate frisbee. All right? Now, I got him his complete Peaky Blinders outfit. He wants nothing to do for it. Now, Rudy knows this. When you're smart, there's only one way you can handle this. My son has to be kidnapped. And that's what we're going to make plans for. Kidnapping my son. My son is extremely embarrassed to dress up in British clothing. Because you know how the British are. They're a bunch of faggots over there. And fucking weirdos, right? I don't say that in reality. The British are pretty good people. But my son is Filipino first. Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao. Right? The usual fucking retarded Filipino shit. So my son has to be kidnapped. I have to talk to my wife about this. Looks like I'm going to have to dress up 2 Filipinos, Peaky Blinders style, 3 if possible. And we'll have to kidnap my son and bring him to the Jollibee, where he'll be embarrassed and forced into dressing up like a Peaky Blinders. Believe me, folks, it's the only way. And I can see Rudy saying, well, I don't see that a Filipino guy, a young Filipino lad, is going to be interested in dressing up like the Peaky Blinders. That's right. You know why, Rudy? Because he has a disdain for his father. He doesn't want anything to do with him. So we have to kidnap him. You understand? So 3 Filipinos dressed up as Peaky Blinders are going to take him out of his house. You heard right. And take him up to the fucking Jollibee. All 3 of them riding him up with him laying down on top of their hands and arms. His big problem is the embarrassment of the Peaky Blinders. Again, Rudy, you don't have to get into it about the 1920s Irish mobs. You don't have to get into it. I removed you from this by telling you about the $60 U.S. mail jerkload of sending him the apes 135 gram style, which he didn't want any part of. And then the 2 weed eaters, which he wanted no part of. But he was willing to let me buy it. there's only one choice. Kidnapping of my son and being taken up to the Jollibee to look like a total pussy until he dresses up like the rest of those 3 Filipinos, which we are going to have dressed up like Peaky Blinders. Thank you. Take care. Love you, folks. I'm not in any condition to do the news. Thank you. But we will see you later. I have to get some rest before I go in because I haven't had any rest. I fell asleep 4 or 5 times on my job yesterday. And fortunately, they woke me up with Amazon deliveries, not board members over at that place. Take care. Love you guys. Rudy, hang in there. Okay? Everything is too fucked up right now to go into. I know I'd be crying right now if I was a little less inebriated, but I can't help it. Monday, we'll see you in a new light, like John Mayer's song, New Light. Take care. See you later.